teams are on the pitch, and what we're going to do first of all is we're going to look at who's going to referee the match. So here's the 4 referee cards. You give them a shuffle. Every one is a little bit different in terms of their leniency, which will affect how often you get booked or sent off. Give them a shuffle, take one at random, and voila. Our referee today will be Costolo, who has a leniency of 3, which means that Costolo is quite a strict referee. It's quite likely we're going to see some yellow cards in this game. Put the referee card to the side. Then the 2 teams get all of the goalkeeper cards, and there's 4 goalkeeper cards in the standard set. Give them a shuffle, and one manager takes one, the other manager takes another. So we'll say the Ajax team gets Nkosi and Farrell goes to the Schalke team. So we'll put them in their positions. Then we go through the player draft. And in the player draft you shuffle the remaining cards, so there's 42 outfield player cards in the set, and we give them a shuffle. We turn over 4. And you've already decided who goes first, maybe by a roll of the dice or however you do it. And let's say Ajax go first, and they would decide which player. Now we've got 2 real dud players who've come out straight away, Ribeiro and Patras. And I think the best option in here perhaps is Langdon, who's quite a decent attacking player. And every single player in counter-attack has their own unique set of attributes, as you can see, and you'll be using them on the field. And it doesn't tell you where to play any of these players, but it's up for you to decide what this player's best position is, and perhaps Langdon's like an attacking midfielder, let's say. And you go through that process of each manager taking a player and allocating a squad number to them, or in the case of Ribeiro and Patras, perhaps you're putting them straight onto the substitutes bench. And you deal the next 4 cards out, and the team who went second last time goes first this time. So in this case it'll be Schalke, and they're going to go with this. Now there's a couple of classic strikers. You've got Ruiz and Pavlovic. I'm going to go with Ruiz, my favourite player, with a pace of 6, fastest player in the game, or the 6 is the fastest speed, plus a great dribbling attribute and high crossing. So Ruiz is going to go onto the wing for me. The Ajax team would likely go for Pavlovic, and then of course there's a Scotsman on the bench on the draft, so you need to get a Scotsman in your team. So Kerr's there and O'Connor goes over there. And you go through that process of drafting until you've got 11 outfielders and 4 substitutes. Okay, I've lined up the 2 teams and I've decided on formations based on the player attributes that each team has. Ajax got 3 decent defenders, so I've gone for a back 3 with a couple of energetic wing backs, and an attacking 3 with 2 sort of defensive midfielders. Whereas the Schalke team's gone for a bit of a 4-4-2, and I'm sitting conservatively because Ajax are going to have kick-off and they'll have possession of the ball for a little bit. Right, so there's 2 things you need to master in counter-attack. One is using the distance stick to judge the allowable distance for passes, shots, crosses, etc. And the other is the movement phase. Let's master both of them straight away. So we're going to start with kick-off. We set the timer on our phone, 45 minutes on our phone, and we press start, and we start with a pass, as you do in football, of course. So the distance stick is quite simple. You hold the stick over the player who has the ball, and you put the little circle where the player has the ball. You point to where you want the ball to go, and you see if the distance is allowable. So for a pass along the floor, call it a standard pass, it can travel as far as here. So that's a standard pass, can go that far. So you can pass it that far. You don't have to pass it to someone's feet. If you wanted, you could pass it into space, and there's lots of good reasons why you might want to do that. But what I'm going to do right now is just pass it to the number 4, because the pass is allowable. And after you've done a successful pass, you can look at the card which tells you what you're allowed to do next, this little grid that comes in the box. So there's a suite of different moves you can make at any particular moment in the game. We're going to run through a movement phase now, which is the other big thing you need to learn, and it's quite simple really. The team with the ball, the attacking team, gets to move 4 players according to their pace, and then the defensive team gets to move 5 players according to their pace. And the final phase of the movement phase is the attacking team gets to move 2 new players, but only up to 2 hexes each. So let's go through that first of all. Let's say this number 2 is going to move. Now the Ajax number 2 is this player, Willems. Where's the thing? Willems has got a pace of 5, so Willems can move up to 5 hexes. Let's do that now. Go down the wing, we'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to give ourselves a bit of an option. We'll move the card to say we've moved that player. Player number 7 is Robbie, who's a pace of 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And we'll move number 9 forward. That's Pavlovich with a 1, 2, 3, 4. And that's 3 players I've moved. The 4th player I'm going to move is the number 10, which is Iwu. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's 4 players moved for Ajax. Defending team now moves 5 players, and what we're going to try and do is close down space and shut down opportunities to make passes. So we'll start with number 11, who's Ruiz. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We'll come out here to mark that player. We'll move number 10 forward. 5 to shut down that passing option. We'll go here, like that, and we'll move number 9, closing down a player over there, and the final move we'll make is going to be number 7, Patras, who can move to there just to be close. So the final phase, the final section of the movement phase is the attacking team gets to move 2 players, but only 2 hexes each. Now, always you can move the player who has the ball as well. It's a question people ask. I'm going to do that just now. Move this player 2 hexes, 1, 2, and finally I'm going to move this player 2 hexes. And that is the end of the movement phase. And what you do at the end of the movement phase is take all these cards that have been sliding up during the phase and you pull them back. And you slide them up to remind yourself that these players have moved. But now I'm sliding them back because we've reset that movement phase and we are ready for what comes next. What comes next, again you can refer to the card, and the card will tell you what moves are allowable. So after a movement phase you can do another movement phase, do a standard pass, a high pass, a long pass, a snapshot. Let's go with a standard pass just for the fun of it. So we're going to play a pass along here, and we do the same as before. We use the distance stick to measure whether it's allowable. Now there's 2 reasons for the distance stick. One is to measure how far a pass can go. Again, we're going to go for a standard pass that's along the ground. The other is to decide whether or not an opponent can intercept a pass. So you can't pass through an opposition player because they'll automatically intercept it. But if you pass just down the side of them, like within 1 hex, then they get a chance to roll the dice and perhaps win that ball. It would be a bit of a risk to try that pass right now. What I'm going to do is make a pass down here so it doesn't go around the zone of influence of the number 8. I'm going to pass it right to that hex there, which is just within the distance. The pass is made. As you can see, I've passed into space. We have to follow up now with a movement phase because obviously you can't pass or shoot if you don't have the ball. So Ajax goes first. It's always the attacking team is the instigator of moves. So they are going to move their players first, and it's Robbie with a pace of 6 is going to ball up. 1, 2 to collect the ball, and 3, 4, 5, 6. So that's Robbie's moved. We've got Pavlovich, who's a big striker, with a pace of 4, moves forward. We've got Iwu with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And we are going to push our number 2, who's Willems, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, in some sort of overlapping attempt. It's 4 players moved from Ajax, so now Schalke get to move 5 players, and we see that we're within striking distance of making a tackle, and that would be a wise thing to try now. So number 3 is Ekstrom, who's coming in for a tackle. So there's Ekstrom, and here is Robbie. And to make a tackle, you have to do exactly what I've done here, is land within 1 hex of the player who has the ball. And then you say you're going to make a tackle, because you don't have to tackle, you can just jockey in that position. So we're going to go for a tackle. We look at Ekstrom's tackling ability, which is 5, and we look at Robbie's dribbling attribute, which is 4, and we add a dice roll to each, white for Ajax and blue for Schalke, and you work at the combined score, and whoever has the highest combined score wins the duel. There you go, I only knocked 1 player over. Right, well there you have it, it's a tie, because 6 plus 4 and 5 plus 5 equals 10. So what do we do in the event of a tie? I'm glad we saw that. We have a deflection system. So imagine they've both gone in for a tackle, they've come together, and the ball's broken free. It breaks free from the defender, so we put the ball on the defender, and we refer to this grid here. You see there's 1 there and there's 1 there. It's faint, but close up you can see no bother. And there's numbers 1 to 6 around a hex, and we pretend that our defender's in the middle of it, and we roll the dice to say what direction the ball is going to break to. So I'll roll that dice, and it's a 2, and 2 is in this direction, so the ball's going to go in that direction. That's a 1, that's a 2, it's a 3, so on. And then we roll to see how far the ball will travel. It's going to travel 2 hexes, that's 1, 2. So the ball broke off that defender and travelled that far. Now, we were in the middle of a movement phase and the ball is now loose. The Schalke team has moved one player, Ekstrom, who is not allowed to move again, but it's still Schalke's turn to move. And that's what they're going to do just now. We've got this player, Nielsen, who can move 4 hexes, who cannot reach the ball, which is a very sad state of affairs. But I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4 to go there. So when things happen in the next phase, I'm ready for it. My goalkeeper is way off the line and this is worrying me. I'm going to go backwards, 2, 3, 4 to there. I've got 2 more players I'm allowed to move. I'm going to move Verdecker, who can go 1, 2, 3, 4, just covering in the middle. And one final move will be my number 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Identifying Pavlovic as a danger player there. Last thing of a movement phase, because it's still the movement phase, that's the 4, 5, 2. Ajax get to move 2 players, 2 hexes. I think he got knocked when the ball rolled. So what I'm going to do is tuck my number 3 in and move my number 8 forward. It's a bit more in the game. Right, the movement phase is over, you reset your cards again. And that's the movement phase. It's very simple. 4, 5, 2, move according to pace. If you land within a hex of the ball, you can make a tackle if you wish. The ball's loose. It's always the prerogative of the attacking team to choose what to do. And obviously because they don't have the ball at their feet, they have to go through a movement phase, and that's what they're going to do just now. They're going to use number 7, who's Robbie, who can move to the ball and run into the box with it. Now you cannot move through an opponent player, so I'm going to have to run round 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now I'll go 1, 2, 3, 4 and pick the ball up. I've got 2 hexes move remaining. If I move into this hex next to number 5 there, then number 5 automatically gets a chance to make a tackle. They would roll the dice, and if they roll a 6, they win the ball. However, if they roll 1, it's a foul, and we'll come back to the rolling 1 and fouls soon, I'm sure. But I don't want to risk it, so I'm not going to run into that space. I've got 2 moves left. I'm going to go 1 here, which is still outside the box, and then 1 there, which is inside the box. You can see if a hex is partly inside the box, then it's definitely inside. Now when you move inside the box, the goalkeeper automatically gets a free move of 1 hex. And I'm going to take that now. And that's all about narrowing angles, right? So it gives your goalkeeper a bit of an opportunity to get a good play. Another thing happens when you move into a box. You can do something called a snapshot, which is you can shoot whilst on the move. Now when you shoot whilst you're on the move, if you picture the games like FIFA or PES, your shooting while you're sprinting tends not to be as accurate, and that's the case in counter-attack as well. So your shooting attribute will go down by 1. Now Robbie's shooting attribute is 4, so that will go down to a 3 on shooting on a snapshot, and I'm going to shoot on a snapshot because why not, it's good fun. So I call a snapshot, and when you do that, the defence gets 1 final chance to do something that can stop it. They get to move 1 player 2 hexes, so I'm going to move there right in the line of path of the ball. So I have to shoot through number 5, there's no way around it. Now, you can't pass through an opponent, but you can shoot through them, right? Because it's a harder, what am I trying to say? It's a more powerful shot, powerful action. I'm going to try and aim right there, next to the hex next to the goalkeeper, so the ball will travel through number 5, and will go there if the goalkeeper is going to make a save. Now, deflecting is all about rolling a 6, just in the same way sticking a foot out is about rolling a 6. Unless they have a higher tackling attribute, and we'll talk about that later. So I'm going to shoot. I'm going to try and shoot through this player. Now, first thing I'm going to do is roll for the deflection to see if the deflection happens or not, because everything else will kind of rely on that. So, do I roll a 6 for a deflection? No. Roll a 4. No deflection. So that ball is firing over there, which means it's a straight up duel between Robbie the attacker with a shooting of 4 down to 3, and Nkosi the goalkeeper, who has a saving of 4. So it's 4 versus 3, dice roll, a drum roll please, come on. Oh, I smashed a couple of midfielders, but what we can see is a 4 and a 4, which means Nkosi wins, because Nkosi had the advantage already. It's a save, so there's not a goal, but does Nkosi hold the ball? This is a new ability that we added about a year ago, handling attribute. So the handling score is 4 for Nkosi. You roll the dice again for the goalkeeper. If you roll a 4 or higher, then the ball goes out for a corner kick. So let's find out. Corner kick it is, right? So hand to the ball, pushed round the bar, corner kick to Ajax. Corner kicks, set pieces in general. First things first, goalkeeper gets a free move of 1 hex. Next thing, the attacking team will choose a player to take the corner. You probably want to pick someone who's got a good crossing ability, and in the Ajax team they've got Gilbert, the god of set pieces, with a high pass ability, of 6. Gilbert is the number 8 there. Gilbert's going to take this. The sequence for corner kicks is that the attacking team goes first. They move 2 players, they just pick them up and place them into the penalty area or wherever they like. And of course what you want to do right now is get your players with good heading attributes forward. And there's a couple of giants in this Ajax team. They've got the American Deontay with a heading of 6. That Deontay is player number 3, so number 3 is going to go in there. And they also have Ozcan, who also has a heading attribute. Oh no, it's a heading attribute of 5, isn't it, for Ozcan? But that's pretty deadly. No, it's a 6. I got that wrong. So Ozcan goes in there too. So Ajax have moved 2 players. Schalke now moved 2 players. Smart thing to do is to cover those tall players who are into the box. I'm looking through my shot, and the best header I've got is a player called Fruin, who's my number 9. Fruin has a heading of 6, and Fruin's more of a striker really, but needs must. Let's cover number 3, and then the second move I'll make. Oh, I'm really struggling here at the back for heading scores. It's going to have to be number 3 Ekstrom there, marking number 5. So it was 2 for Ajax, it was 2 for Schalke, then you do that again 2 more times. So let's just quickly simulate that. You'd get number 9 in there because 9's Pavlovic. What you don't want to do is move right next to an opponent because they're essentially marked by this player. So you want to be at least a hex away from any defensive player, and it means that they have to move to counteract what you've done. And that's that player, and then I'll move number 10 to here, so that's 2 moves from Ajax. Schalke will do 2 as well. Let's get, oh blimey, really struggling. They're all terrible. They are terrible in there. Let's get number 8 in there, and also let's give them something to think about. We'll put 7 up there on the flank. So that's 2 moves for Schalke. Final 2 moves allowed for Ajax. You can move players who've already moved. So 5 is going to go there, and number 10 is going to go here. Give them something to think about. So they have to react to that really. They're going to have to move their number 3 to cover, and now we've got this player in the box. Maybe they're going to do a bit of that. Let's say they've done that. Right, so that's all the moves done. What we do now is, before the corner kick is taken, both teams get to move 1 player up to 3 hexes. This is an advanced rule. And you do not have to cross the ball to that player. So imagine they're all jostling and they're moving around in the box. I'm going to go right now, 1, 2, 3. And the reaction by Schalke is to cover. We're now going to cross the ball, and I'm decided I'm going to cross the ball onto my number 9. Because 9 has been marked by 8. Stewart with a heading of 3 is no match for Pavlovic with a heading of 6. But first things first, is the cross accurate? Gilbert's high pass attribute is 6. You need a combined score of 8 for an accurate high pass. So let's roll the dice and hope for 2 plus. There you go, let's say that was a 6. Successful high cross, it's gone right onto the of the big number 9. So now it's a duel. Pavlovic on a heading of 6, Stewart on a heading of 3. Who wins the duel? I think we know who's going to win this duel. Come on. Oh my goodness. Stewart wins it. What about that? The Scotsman rises above and wins that header. Now if Pavlovic had won the header, the ball would be travelling toward goal and the goalkeeper would try and make a save. But Pavlovic didn't win the header. Right against the odds. There goes all my predictions. And the defender has won it. The defender now refers to the distance stick, and a header can travel this far. And I probably want to get the ball, where do I want to put it? I'm going to pop it over there, so it's out of the way, ponk to there. Now after a header's been made, whoever challenged for the header cannot move in the subsequent movement phase. Because imagine they've leapt in the air and they're crashed to the ground. And that's to stop people from sort of heading the ball to themselves and running onto it. So Schalke touched the ball last. They are the attacking team. They move first. They have the impetus. Kala, my number 2, has got a movement of 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Take the ball there. I've got my number 6 here, Kerr, who can go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to there. And my number 9, Fruin, the long journey up to attack, moving 4. And then let's move my number 4 up as well. 1, 2, 3, 4, like that. So 4 players have moved for Schalke. Now 5 will move for Ajax. Now the good news for them is they've got a decent defensive player, Deonte, who came up for the corner, who can move 4 hexes. I didn't think about where I was heading the ball to particularly well. So I'm moving there and I'm going to call a tackle, because wouldn't it be great to win the ball back there? So number 3, Deonte, has a tackling of 4 against Kala, number 2, who's got a dribbling of 3. So it's advantage Ajax. And Ajax win the ball. Look at that. Takes the ball. Is inside the box. But Deonte's shooting is 3. So maybe not the best thing to do. That movement phase is over. These players can move again. What I'm going to do is I'm going to make a pass across the box. Like so. I'm going to pass it to there. And then I'm going to call a movement phase, obviously, because the ball's sitting loose. And it's going to be Pavlovic who moves. Oh, hang on. First things first. Don't waste opportunities to move players who are way out of position. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Going to move. Oh, sorry, Gilbert can only move 4. I'm going to move number 5 as well. No, number 5 can stay there because there could be a deflection moment here. What I'm going to do actually is move around there to be a bit awkward. And then I'm going to move Pavlovic. 1, 2, 3. And whenever you have the ball in the box, you can shoot. I take a snapshot, and that's exactly what I'm going to do. As soon as I've got the ball, actually I'm going to move a 4th spot and then call a snapshot. So Pavlovic with a shooting of 5. The shooting will go down to 4 because it's a snapshot. The defensive team gets to move 1 player up to 2 hexes, so we'll do that for the block. And then Pavlovic is going to tell us where the ball's being shot to. I'm going to shoot it through here. In fact, I can get it in that corner. Yeah, beauty. And that corner, being 3 hexes away from the goalkeeper, is the goalkeeper's weak spot. So when the keeper dives 3 hexes, the keepers can only drive sideways, but the 3rd hex away is their weak spot, and that's where their saving goes down by 1. You can imagine it's like a fingertips kind of attempt. So the ball is going there, and the keeper's going to try and make a save there, but first, is it a deflection? The ball's not travelling through a defender, but it's travelling adjacent to number 3 here. Ekstrom. Ekstrom has a tackling of 5 now. Ekstrom needs to roll a 6 in order to intercept that ball, or deflect it rather. Doesn't, so the ball's travelling there, and Nkosi's going to come and try and make a save right there. There's Nkosi on the weak spot, so saving goes down to 3. Shooting, because it's a snapshot, goes from a 5 to a 4, so it's advantage for Ajax. Can they make the most of it? Oh my goodness, a save again. Amazing save by Nkosi. Now we need to check whether it's held or not. We'll go back to handling. Handling is 4. If you roll a 4 or higher, it's a corner. It's a catch. What about that? Must have been a terrible shot by Pavlovic. And honestly, Pavlovic didn't win that aerial duel. Couldn't score from around about the penalty spot. Not been the best. Right, so the goalkeeper now has options. The ball has been caught and held. The keeper can immediately throw the ball out, and you can throw the ball the distance of the standard pass. So I could throw the ball this far, and in which case nobody moves. Or I can punt the ball long. And when the keeper punts the ball long, they can punt it as far as this final 3rd area here. So you can punt it up to this line. And look at this, we've got 3 players and acres of space. But when you punt the ball long, it's a high pass, and every player has a high pass attribute. And what you do is you roll the dice, and you add it to the high pass attribute, you need to get an 8 plus in order for that high pass to be accurate. Let's give that a go because we've got a lot of space here to exploit. We're going to punt the ball all the way up to Van de Kerkhoff. Now as the ball travels through the air, both teams get to move one player 3 hexes. I'll do 1, 2, 3, and the defensive team's going to do the same. 1, 2, 3. Now we check for the accuracy of this high pass. The high pass stat is 4. I need a 4 plus for it to be accurate. Whoopsie. Shouldn't be knocking players over. So it was inaccurate. It was a 1. We did the loose ball grid once again. You roll the dice to see where the ball's going to go. This is where we wanted it to go. Where does it go? It's going to go in this direction, and for bar 2 again. It's going to land there. Right, great news, because you didn't want it spinning all the way back here. You don't want it going off in the direction of the Ajax team. The ball lands here, and play can just continue with a movement phase. It's for Schalke to go, and they've got Van de Kerkhoff here with a pace of 5. 1, 2. Now whom I've got to avoid here. This Vrabic is a dangerous defender. So is Marel. So what I'm going to do is be a bit cunning. 3, 4. I'm not going to advance toward goal. I'm going to stay out of reach of the Ajax defenders. I've moved 4 places. I'm going to take number 6 here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to give me options. I'm going to make Fruin come forward. 2, 3, 4. Now you notice I've got the wingers here. I'm a bit nervous that this defence will push up and catch them offside. So I'm not going to move them just yet. I'm going to wait to see how the defence reacts and see if that gives me options. Now I say all that as if I'm not controlling both teams, but you get the drift, right? If you're playing an opponent, that's what you would do. 4, 5, move Stuart. So I've moved 4 players, Ajax now move 5 players. And why don't we play that offside trap? So it's a risk, because we're outnumbered basically. Oh blimey, it's a massive risk. I know it's not a risk worth taking. I think the smartest thing is to stay still there. That's what I'm going to do. So 11 Langdon is covering on the flank there. That's 1 player. I'm going to move 2 Willems. Track back there. And we better get some of these players back. You got Deonte moving 4 spaces. And what's that? That's 3 players have moved. I'll take number 7, Robbie. 6. You're always balancing attack and defence. You cannot leave players languishing at one end of the field, or you will be caught out later in the game, or you won't be able to build attacks. I haven't spoken to you yet about this final third. We'll talk about that in just a few minutes. So 4 players from Schalke have moved, 5 players from Ajax. The final thing is 2 players who haven't moved already get to move now for Schalke, and that's what we'll do. We'll utilise that winger there, and we'll tuck this one in, because I'm now thinking we're getting it down the flank, we're getting the ball across into the box, reset the cards, and we're going to make that pass. So here comes the pass out in the wing here. Now this is a dangerous defender for us. Vrabic, pace of 5, tackling of 5, very tricky. But luckily over here Schalke have got Ruiz with a pace of 6 and a dribbling of 5, so a very tricky customer indeed. Let's play that ball down the flank. Absolutely pinging it as far away from Vrabic as we can. Movement phase. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. No one's catching Ruiz. Then we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Trying to exploit this space because Vrabic is going to want to pull across, I think. So we want to make the most of the space here. On the wing we've got the abysmal Patras is in for comedy value. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm being careful to be onside, right? So I'm on the same line as Ruiz, so I can't be offside. I'm just giving that defender something to think about. We've got number 6 also coming into the box to be another option, and then slowly, very slowly comes Fruin. 4 players have moved from Schalke, 5 will move from Ajax. Let's go with Willems. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's 1. We'll go with Vrabic. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So Vrabic is moving in for the kill. 6 is Morel. 1, 2, 3, 4. Not the paciest, but very good in the air, very good in the tackle. Langdon is no defender, but is tucking in as well to give further option. That's 4 have moved, and then we're going to move 1, 2, 3. No, we're not. We're going to leave you there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Robbie into the middle of the park because we've got an emptying of the middle of the park. So we've had 4, we've had 5, then we get 2 more for Schalke who haven't moved already. And what we'll do is we're going to pull up some of these defenders and we'll move that goalkeeper across. Now, what happens next? That's the end of the movement phase. It's the 4, 5, 2 is done. One thing we didn't use earlier is this final third. And when the ball is in the final third, and maybe you can't quite see it on camera there, so let me pull it up on this one. You see there the final third, and there's a section at this side and there's a section at that side, and on both sides of the park. And when the ball is in one final third, as it is, and an action has come to an end, whether it's a movement phase, a shot, a pass, or whatever, then any players who are in the other final third over here, they get a free move of up to 6 hexes. And that's why I made sure that number 8 stayed within the final third, so they get that little boost move. And that's done so you don't end up with an empty midfield, and you don't end up with a cluster of players at one end of the park. You remember playing Subbuteo, and all your players would end up on the other side. So this is a mechanism to stop that. So what I'm going to do is move the 6 players. The defending team goes first, so that's the defenders go first. That's Schalke in this case. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And we'll take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's them moved all of theirs, and then the Ajax team will go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So they get to move 6 hexes regardless of their pace attribute. You can stay just there. There you go. And now we've got this squeeze has gone on so that it's more realistic. So the phase has come to an end. Ruiz has the ball. The Ajax are looking a little bit at risk here. What we're going to do is there's no point in crossing the ball, is there? Because we've got no height. We've actually got no one in the middle. Options are I could run into the box and shoot. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I could do that. Run there and shoot. I could pull the ball back for number 10, who could then go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and shoot. But that's where you look at your attributes. And this chappie here, Van de Kerkhoff's got shooting of 4. Ruiz also has a shooting of 4. So it's much of a muchness which way I go about this. I'm going to go with, I'm going to do 2 things. First, I'm going to move number 10 into the box. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we've got someone in there in case it's needed in a minute. Secondly, I'm going to move Ruiz then. I'm going to go for it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now the ball goes into the box. You may remember that means the goalkeeper gets a free move. And then I'm going to call a snapshot. So my shooting will go from a 4 to a 3. And when I call a snapshot, the opposition team, the defending team, gets to move 1 player 2 hexes. Now remember, the goalkeeper can only dive 3 hexes, and if I shoot, the ball will go through that hex, so that's in the weak spot for the goalkeeper. It might be wise to move the keeper. So you could move the defender, but it doesn't really do much good. I mean, I can move Vrabic there and you get a chance for a deflection, but actually I think the smartest thing is to move the keeper. We'll do that, and then we're going to shoot, and we're going to shoot straight at the goalkeeper to take advantage of any possible deflections. So it's a snapshot. Shooting goes from a 4 to a 3, and the goalkeeper has a saving attribute of 3 already. It's 3 versus 3. Blue for Schalke, white for Ajax. Can it be done? There's just destined to be no goals in this game. It's a save by Pharrell. No, hang on, I got that wrong. It's a goal. So it is. Blimey. There you go. That's what happens when you play as both teams. It's a goal. Ruiz has scored a cracking goal. Slams it through the legs of the goalkeeper. It's 1-0 to Schalke. And of course, the mandatory thing is you run over to the corner flag and you celebrate with your own fans. Hey. 1-0. Haven't checked the time because I actually didn't set the time earlier, which was a miss of me. But what we do after a goal, to walk you through that process, quite straightforward. You line them up again, just as you do in real football, right? Line up your team and prepare yourself for hopefully a comeback. Now, I think Ajax have been very unlucky here, just to set things up in such a way. Make a pass here, standard pass and go that far to number 6. And then we'll go with a movement phase. So we go with number 10. It can go 1, 2, 3, 5. 11 can go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We'll get number 7. 6 spaces. And finally, I'm going to move number 9. 4. So that's 4 players have moved from Ajax. Now 5 will move from Schalke. That's 1, 2, 3. I like to move attacking players forward to give you options if you win that ball back and give you a chance to break, because there's nothing worse than having nobody up there to take advantage of you winning that ball. And we'll just, for the sake of it, move that player too. So they've moved 5 players. Ajax now get to move 2 players, another 2 hexes. And you might just see here, the player who has the ball, my number 6, is in the final third. And what I'm going to do quite deliberately is move him out of the final third right now. There. No longer in the final third, because I'm going to play a long ball in just a minute. And you'll see why. And I'll move this player there 2 hexes. So that's the 4-5-2 is finished, and it's for Ajax to decide what to do next. Once again, you can refer to the card. It tells you all the moves you're allowed to do. You can do another movement phase, a pass along the ground. I mean, the smart thing to do is probably make that pass there and then build an attack down that wing, because there's an inexplicable gap there. But just to show you another one of the rules, I'm going to play a long ball. Now, a long ball does not use the movement, the distance stick. A long ball is a punt, right? So you can kick it from one place in the park to anywhere else in the park, but they're not always accurate. And so you need to test for accuracy to see if your long ball is actually going to make it. Now, the reason why I moved this player out to the final third is because when you punt it from one final third to another final third, the test for accuracy goes up by 1. And the test for accuracy is a dice roll added to your player's high pass attribute. Now, I've picked the wrong player to make the pass because Morel has a high pass attribute of 4, not particularly good. For an accurate long pass, you need a 9+. And if you're in the final third, it needs to be a 10+. Or rather, if you're playing it from one final third to another final third, it needs to be a 10+. I'm going to try and punt the ball about there. Now, other things about long balls, they cannot land within 6 hexes of any of your players. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So, so you can put it there. 6 hexes away is the closest it can be, which is great if you're playing a long ball to a player of pace of 6. You can run onto it, but often you'll just be playing it into space, so you can build. You can make the most of an open area, and you can try and get your forwards up the field. Right, so Morel's going to test for accuracy. With a high pass attribute of 4, he needs a 5 or a 6 for accurate high pass. Kapow, what about that? That's the Dutch football master for you. An accurate high pass. So, of course, the ball's loose, so you continue with a movement phase, and that's what we're going to do. By the way, obviously, if it was inaccurate, you'd refer to the loose ball rules, and the ball could break out for a throw-in, or it could spin back here, or it could be quite fortuitous for number 11 as well. Let's attack. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Not got the ball, but I'm close. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for Iwu. Now, this kind of blocking is absolutely encouraged, and that's a good way to frustrate opposition. I'll move Pavlovic. 1, 2, 3, 4. We need Pavlovic in the middle, despite the shooting problems Pavlovic has had. And my 4th move is number 7, Robbie. Move 4 hexes. Right, defence. We get to move 5 players. Now they're a little bit in trouble here. I'd be worried if I was Schalke. I'm going to put Ozcan here. Oh, hang on. Ozcan is number 5. Ozcan is going to mark Pavlovic. Why? Because Ozcan's heading is 6 and Pavlovic heading is 6. And you can see I've blocked the path to goal as well to make things a little bit more difficult for the big striker. In fact, maybe it's wiser to go there because Pavlovic is going to want to run into the box and I want to be there too when that happens. Let's move number 4, Vrabic, to here, who also moves a bit into the Pavlovic zone, which is very useful. I'm mixing up who's who. Oh, I totally got that wrong. I'm mixing up the two teams. Nielsen is actually terrible in there, but let's go there anyway. We'll move Verdecker, or move number 2 across. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, close as we can get. We'll move number 8 back to there, and one more player will be extra. There, perfect. And finally, Ajax get to move 2 players, 2 hexes. Let's move 2 and 2. Right, phase is over. The ball is in the final third, so you do the usual thing about the final third. Anyone in the opposite final third gets a free move of up to 6. We've got these 2 players and the goalkeeper, and we'll just push up a little bit, like that. Alright, you can play a high line defence if you wish in this game, of course. You obviously got to think about your opponent's pace before you do that. Right, Langdon is next to the ball. Langdon is going to take it. Pace of 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Pavlovic is going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's get 7. Robbie. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Being careful to be onside. Let's get number 8 up the park. That's Gilbert. Into the midfield in case it's needed. And then finally, thinking along the same lines, move Deontay a bit more into the action. That's 4 players moved, is it? 1, 2, 3. Move 5 players like a fool. So I'll move that one back. The defence is going to react with, well, they're struggling again with the whole high aerial ability thing. But we're going to put Ekstrom there, and we're going to put Nielsen there, really doubling up on Pavlovic. And let's get this one there. Right, I think we all know where the danger is here. That's 3, 4 and 5 will be these ones. Let's move Stewart onto there. And what I'm actually going to do, because I want there to be a cross, just to simulate, is move number 2 there. Otherwise I would have gone in for a tackle, I think. Right, let's just go there and just jockey. Right, so I'm just going to go there and stay there, which means that Langdon cannot cross the ball, because you're not allowed to cross the ball through an opponent or pass the ball through an opponent. So that's scuppered Langdon a little bit. And finally, they get to move 2 players, 2 hexes, so we'll do 2 there and 2 there. Right, movement phase is over. Langdon could technically shoot. In fact, not a bad option given that goalkeeper forgot to move the keeper. So if Langdon shoots, the keeper would get 1 for moving. Oh, do you know what? Sneaky. That is an auto goal, isn't it? Look at that, because the goalkeeper gets 1 when the ball comes into the box, but the ball does not cross that 3rd hex, which means that as long as Langdon doesn't miss, this is an auto goal. But also number 2 could block it. So let's just find out first. Does Willems block the ball with a roll of a 6? Whoops. That wasn't meant to happen. Willems does not block the ball. There's no block, which means it's an auto goal unless you roll a 1. Because when you roll a 1 when you're shooting, it's a miss. Pow! It's in! They've scored. Near post goal. Sneaky goal. And that's what you get if you have your goalkeeper off the line and you're not paying enough attention. Bang. Two goals, 1 for each team. And that was a bit of a weird one because actually very rarely do you score goals like that, but it does show you if you're not paying attention with your goalkeeper, it can be painful for you. But do you know what I want to do? I just want to show you what would have happened if I had not gone to shut that ball down. I want to show you the cross ball and what happens in that instance. So in a cross ball situation, you look at the player's high pass attribute. And in the case of Langdon, The high pass attribute is 5, which is damn good. You need a combined score of 8 plus for an accurate high ball. You look at the distance stick, and a high pass can travel the whole length of the stick. So you can punt the ball to most places in the box. And when the ball travels through the air, both teams get to move one player up to 3 hexes. So I would say in this instance, I'm going to punt the ball to there. It's just allowable. And my move of 3 hexes is Pavlovich, of course, 2, 3 to there. But the other team, the defenders, also get to move a player up to 3 hexes. Their best header is this one, Ekstrom. It's going to move there. Right, now we need to test for accuracy. So Langdon's high pass stat is 4. Langdon will need a 4 or higher for an accurate cross. Kapow is done. Langdon is on fire today. So the cross is accurate. The 2 players are now going to duel for the ball. Pavlovich for the heading of 6. Ekstrom for the heading of 4. Forgot to say, when the ball comes into the box, the goalkeeper gets a free move of 1. So it's 6 versus 4. Who wins the duel? Let's find out. Well, 2 6s, but of course Pavlovich wins because Pavlovich had the higher score to start with. Yes, it's a header at goal. Header can travel this far, and I think heading it into the weak spot of the goalkeeper, always a smart move, right into that bottom corner. Oh, excuse me. Pavlovich rolled a 6, which means that the combined score for Pavlovich, 6 plus 6 is 12. You do not re-roll the dice, but the goalkeeper gets to try and make a save. Now, the goalkeeper's saving is 4, and it's -1 because it's into the weak spot, so it's 3, and you cannot roll a dice in order to get a score of 12, which means it's a goal for Pavlovich. Cross ball in, header into the bottom corner, nestled into the back of the net. Cracking, classic goal from the big Serbian striker. That is one of my favourite types of goals. Come on, can he beat the cross ball and the header into the back of the net? So whatever way you look at it, with the crazy goal from Langdon or the cross and header from Pavlovich, I think we're going to give all the dues to Ajax here, who've clawed this back, and they deserved it. And there you have it. I hope you enjoyed that play-by-play of counter-attack. There's 1 or 2 rules I didn't actually get around to showing you, but if you want to learn more about them, go to counterattackgame.com. You can learn about the rules, you can watch a bunch more videos, and you can order it, and we ship worldwide. And you can also find Counterattack on your local Amazon. So, thanks for watching. See you next time.